Hey gang, what's going on? And welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Though the world looks like it's falling apart away from football, some horrendous news I woke up to this morning, but we're going to stay away from that. This is a football-related channel. I realise I'm wearing green in front of a green screen. That's silly sausage business. But we're here to speak about Chelsea, ladies and gentlemen. Villa lost 2-0 away at Wolves. There's a chance that we might all eat in this race for top 5. In a world where everyone's pearl clutching about Chelsea's finances, a reminder that the intention is to give pay increases and new contracts to big superstars like Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo, and not have to sell them off because we're in some sort of financial danger. PSG, the goal of these French people, trying to get fixtures moved so they can have a little en petit advantage against Chelsea in the Champions League. Of course, we've got them in the round of 16, which I've spoken about recently. I'm quite looking forward to playing them personally. And a little bit of transfer news on Nico Jackson. That's right. The Senegalese AFCON champion, who's currently not happy on loan at Bayern Munich, a little bit on that, but Saudi Arabia could be interested in him. And in a world where we were trying to sort of, what am I doing here? Why am I trying to be central in this thing? In a world where we're trying to get optimal returns on the centre forward, maybe Saudi. Of course, he's meant to be hugely ambitious, but everyone's ambitious until the Saudi Arabian paycheck is waved in front of them. So, really interesting to hear a little bit about that. Sorry, I have to move my mic slightly. Yeah, guys, welcome back. Thank you, as always, for joining me. Bit of the old school green screen work here, so no overlays for the moment in screen shares, but I'll be telling you where I'm citing the news that I read today. If you do want to help us out, give us a like on the video, subscribe and all that good gear, mate. I do appreciate it. It's very nice of you. Of course, this is available on all good podcast platforms as well, simply by searching Football Therapy Podcast. Go give us a follow and a 5-star. That's really nice of you, and I'm genuinely very, very grateful for all your continued support. Right. Let's hop into the juicy stuff then. Firstly, I must say I didn't watch the game yesterday, probably because I thought it was not going to be a 2-0 Wolves win in the opening Premier League game of this game week on Friday evening, the 27th of February. Yeah, man, a Gomez double. Apparently there's 4 Gomez's in that team, but 2 different scored goals on the 61st minute, and then a dagger in the 98th. From the other Gomez, Joao Gomez in the 61st and Rodrigo Gomez in the 98th to secure the points against Aston Villa. Why are you talking about this, you say? This isn't Chelsea related. Well, I dare say it is, gang. Because Villa, who a few weeks ago, people were saying, oh, they're only 5 points of Arsenal. We've got to take them, seriously. Are they in the title race? Dealing with this Thursday-Sunday football schedule with the Europa League. In a world where they're saying, oh, how the heck is Man United, Chelsea and Liverpool's 3 teams going to fit into 2 for Champions League qualifications? Of course, Brentford are the one that's 5 points behind them, and no one's really expecting Brentford to seriously challenge. But in this world, maybe everyone eats, which is very unromantic in terms of the teams that are qualifying for the Champions League, but maybe Arsenal, City, United, Chelsea and Liverpool all take up the top 5, all qualify for next season's Champions League, and it's indeed Aston Villa who miss out, which for the neutral and for the supporters of none of those, big aforementioned 5, is really lame. Because, if you said to me a few months ago, who do you want to win the Premier League, as soon as I'd learned it's not going to be Chelsea, I would have gone Aston Villa, And then failing that, I'd be like, ooh, say Chelsea was still comfortably in the Champions League, say, to finish 3rd or 4th, you'd be like, oh, who would you want to take up the other space over, your Man Uniteds and your Liverpools? I'd go, ooh, Aston Villa. But now we're on the ropes, yeah? I think everyone's happy to see him drop points, which is, like I said, it's terribly unromantic, but all's fair in love and war, and you got to put your own team first. So, yeah, look, they have played a game more than us, and they are 6 points ahead, which is significant. It's obviously it's a big lead, but of course, if we beat Arsenal tomorrow, which chances of genuinely, even the most optimistic of Chelsea fans aren't giving us, I think the most optimistic of us are saying maybe like a 1-1 draw, which I'd absolutely rip your hand off for now, contextually. And if we do somehow go there and win, what a tonic that would be in terms of a mood lifter for Chelsea fans right now. But okay, just to say we do win at Arsenal, we'll be 3 points behind and on the same matches played. And looking at how they're performing and looking at their Thursday night schedule, you'd be like, yeah, we're probably going to finish above Aston Villa. That's how things are looking at the moment. Anyway, I wanted to start with that because I did think it relevant in the Champions League race. And speaking of the Champions League, the next story, I'm reading this from The Standard. Paris Saint-Germain request fixture postponement ahead of Chelsea's last 16 showdown. Now, they do this, Ligue 1, especially with PSG, because they're obviously Marseille won a Champions League a long time ago, sort of certain circumstances, but they want Champions League winners. So if they can move fixtures around and in the McDonald's League, so PSG can get a leg up in a little bit. No, hold on, that's not the right term. An advantage in Europe. They do it. They're like, yeah, you can move your fixtures, go and win the Champions League, go and represent French football. So, of course, they're playing Chelsea. Of course, they had to play the knockout rounds against Monaco to qualify to play against us in the round of 16. If you look, by the way, gang, you've probably seen the side of the draw. We are in a heavily in our side of the draw. There's like insane amounts of Champions League winners. On the other side, there's 5 Champions League trophies, and they're all from Barcelona. And the last one they won was 11, 12 years ago. So yeah, Arsenal basically have got this moonwalk to the even if they do come up against a Barca side, I've really flawed Barcelona side. If Arsenal don't make the Champions League final, it will be a huge flop from them. I'm not trying to apply pressure on Arsenal fans, but it's true. Like you look at the draw, man, and there's like Bodo Glimt and Bayer Leverkusen and Sporting and stuff, and then the other side it's all PSG, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Real Madrid. Did I say Real Madrid? Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous, basically. So, but whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's where they are, sort of thing. So, I mean, hopefully they don't get there, but they might, looking at how easy their side of the draw is. Anyway, back to Paris Saint-Germain. So they'll host the first leg on the Parc des Princes on Wednesday, March the 11th. So they'll host us on March the 11th. And of course, the return leg's at Chelsea, which is an advantage for us, before travelling to Stamford Bridge 6 days later. So it's not even a week. So in between those 6 days, they do have a game. So that is tricky. Originally scheduled, so they're trying to get it moved, a game against Nantes. And of course, if you look at Ligue 1 this season, I think they're back on top now, but there is like a weird sort of title race with Lens. They will come good and win the league unromantically, PSG. You sort of put the farm on that in terms of how things are going. I look like a ghost, bro, with this friggin' with this Packers jersey on. I always get loads of stick in the comments from the NFL fans. Look, I watch the highlights of Packers. I'm not a diehard fan. Anyway, I shouldn't have worn it because it looks like I'm fading away. Like, my essence. Anyway, what am I talking about? Yeah, PSG, they're trying to get a fixture moved. They'll probably get it moved by Liga because of the fixture congestion. I hope they don't, because I want to take every freaking advantage possible against the Parisians. And, regardless of our recent Club World Cup final win against them, it's going to be a very tough examination. It's good that Fabian Ruiz isn't available, but, Didier Doué's looking different gravy and all that kind of stuff. Now, look, we're going to move on now. I'm going to hop on over to courtoffside.com. Chelsea keen to open talks with star duo over new contracts with significant pay increases. So I'm assuming this is what we've kind of reflected on before with Caicedo and Fernandez. I do want to speak about it because there's been a lot of speculation, and I'm not sure where it's come from, that Chelsea are going to need to sell big players because of this pre-tax loss, which is, from what we understand, is not the case. And in fact, not only are they not going to sell them, they're going to reward them with a bigger financial outlay in improved contracts. So let's read what Mark Bruce, I wonder if the S is silent, I always say that, Mark Bru, He says the following: Chelsea are reportedly keen to open talks with Fernandez and Caicedo over new contacts with significant pay rises. Ding, ding, ding. The Blues have faced interest in Fernandez and Caicedo from Real Madrid. Real Madrid want, it wouldn't surprise me at all they want Caicedo. Real Madrid have long been trying to rebuild and replace that iconic midfield trio and, Cruz, Casemiro and Modric, and just not been able to do it really. Bellingham's sort of this attacker false nine guy, but Camavinga, Tchouaméni and Fede Valverde goes in there, but they've never really found that balance. I'm sure they'd love both Fernandez and Caicedo, really. And Chelsea are keen to ensure they keep the pair, with Los Blancos seemingly looking elsewhere, according to Team Talk. So Team Talk have also reported on this. Real Madrid face roadblock as Liam Rosenior eyes major double deal. So this is another, this is teamtalk.com. This is Graham Bailey. I think he writes for potentially Court Offside as well. Well-informed journalist. Also saying that Real Madrid, they were, sniffing around them, wondering what the situation is with Chelsea. And Chelsea have shown no willingness to negotiate either of their £100 million stars. It's actually 105 and 115 million pound stars. Of course, PSG have also been very interested in Enzo Fernandez. It is writing here. But to hop back to Court Offside, the previous article I was citing. So it's not the best period for Chelsea under the current owners, despite getting back into the Champions League and winning major silverware, of course, in the Conference and the Club World Cup. Most Chelsea supporters, however, will be keen to see their club challenging for the Premier League title again. Amen. Amen. But there's not much evidence so far that their current transfer policy is working. Lots of criticism on the sporting hierarchy and squad composition. Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo have been two big successes of the stories of this Chelsea project. There can be no doubt that for all the Blue Coast signings that have failed to live up to their potential, the deals for Fernandez and Caicedo have proven hugely successful, and it goes on to show their percentiles and some stats here. Why they're both really good and why Real Madrid have to look elsewhere, because Chelsea are looking to keep their two superstar midfielders. Yes, I would argue Cole Palmer is a success. I would also argue, Andre Santos, Estevao, sort of early doors, people like that. Nico Jackson and Noni Madueke will be profits. You've got Renato Vegas that are profits. I think Malo Gusto was a smart signing because he cost quite a little amount of money. I think Cucurella is a success as well, you'd have to say. Rob Sanchez cost under £30 million. Are you a Sanchez believer? You answer that question yourself. And then, of course, you'd have to say players that in theory should be really good, but we haven't got our return. Wesley Fofana, as much as I love him, as much as he frustrated me, of course, with that red card. Even though he's been playing more, you have to say he's one of them. Lavia, huge red flags all over the gaff. They you've got friggin' him playing 45 minutes for the under-21s and the whole first team going to watch come on, can you do it? But he's supposed to be this sensational player, Lavia. But there's been flops as well, of course. Raheem Sterling, the kind of the players pandering to Tuchel early doors when Todd Bowley was interim sporting director. Aubameyang, Koulibaly, Raheem Sterling, those kind of signings. But yeah, the big investment. There's also people, in terms of, I'm trying to think of obvious flops. A lot of Chelsea fans will be Garnacho and Gittins are definitely under the examination on the glass or whatever. They are definitely being looked at. What else? Delap. So the recent signings. I think this recent transfer window is really sort of dented the perception of them even more, really. If you think Garnacho, Gittins and Delap, who all in their own way will make their own cases of why they're good players or whatever, but I think Joao Pedro is the saving grace of this transfer window, because in the midst of really disappointing attackers, Garnacho and Gittins was 90 million. You had the 30 million of Delap. That's 120 million pounds of attack there. That's not really, and yes, it's a bit unfair on Gittins, who was the most expensive player, who's been injured or whatever, but that's 120 million pounds, bro. There is no way of avoiding that conversation. I mean, fortunately, £55 million Joao Pedro looks like the best attacking signing of the summer. I mean, that's doing them a favour. That's doing a lot of it. That's doing all the heavy lifting of their transfer window. Of course, the recalls of the Strasbourg boys in Mamadou Sarr and certainly Andre Santos, but hopefully Mamadou Sarr will help us out. But tell you what, it really is the Gittins Garnacho Delap £120 million that problem. Like, hopefully it won't be long term. They're young, we'll make your money back, the sales or whatever. But at the moment, when you sort of look at where we are now on the 28th of February, you say those three names, you say £120 million. You have a very that was a very sobering reminder, isn't it? All right, well, let's move on to the final story of today's video that I want to speak about. I'm reading this off Chelsea.news, Charlie Patrick. It's about Nico Jackson, of course, on his loan away at Bayern Munich. Several clubs from Saudi Arabia have set their sights on Nico Jackson, with Al Ahly, however you say it, said to have shown interest, the most interest according to reports. Jackson is currently on a season-long loan at Bayern Munich, having joined the German champions on deadline day last summer. There's an obligation in the deal to buy on the number of appearances, but it says unlikely to happen. That was never going to happen. Let's get that straight, ladies and gentlemen. That was never going to happen. Saudi Pro League clubs are interested in Nico. However, things haven't gone to plan in Germany, and Jackson has scored 5 goals in 22 appearances. I mean, a lot of that has been a couple of minutes off the bench too, in his defence. He's played second fiddle to the likes of Harry Kane and Luis Diaz. Yeah, he has actually played on the pitch with Harry Kane, and Kane is a 10. I mean, companies had a crack with him, and I don't think he's necessarily happy. It has been reported, and this cites a different article here, that Nicolas Jackson isn't happy with his situation at Bayern Munich. And the 24-year-old, excuse me, will return to Chelsea in the summer. Now, hindsight's 2020, isn't it? I mean, if only we knew. I mean, obviously, imagine if Maresca walked away from Chelsea in the summer. There would have been outrage, because he would have the mood was so high. We got Champions League football. We finished in not just the top 5, the top 4. We won the Conference League in style in the final against a decent opponent, and the Club World Cup. Maresca was flying high. If he was like, all right, see ya, and Chelsea fans would be like, how have you let this guy go? Of course, there was loads of stuff since. He fell out with Jackson, he did the George Mendes Man City stuff, like wanting to, seeing the wrong things, the worst 24 hours in my Chelsea career. And then the form fell off a cliff, basically. And we had 1 win and 8 in the Premier League, which is totally unacceptable for Chelsea no matter what. And therefore, when he walked away, it was a huge shock. When they friggin' sacked Graham Potter, I remember being out for dinner with my friends, thinking just so unprepared, and usually you catch a whiff of these things, especially if you cover Chelsea. I was just like, what? And I had to just wait, basically, before I covered it. But yeah, imagine Maresca left in the summer. It would have been unthinkable. But it's almost like, had Maresca left, Nico probably would have stayed, and he would have just, even if he knew we've got Delap, we've got Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro would be starting over him, but it wouldn't be like Joao Pedro starting over him the same way as Harry Kane and Diaz. I reckon he would have had chances, definitely starting over Delap, how things have gone with injury and maybe, dare I say, even shooting form from Liam Delap. He would have had a crack, basically. And also, maybe Liam would have been he was playing Enzo Fernandez on the left wing, bro, and Delap on the right wing. He would have given Nico a chance out wide, yeah? So it's a shame we can't go back in time and be like, stop getting red cards, Nico. Chill out. But, we've seen the future. Maresca's about to leave. All that kind of stuff. Anyway, theoretical. It's a thought experiment. It's a multiverse theory. Let's read on. It's believed Jackson could be open to playing for Chelsea again. This is something I've spoken about recently. With all options said to be on the table amid interest from a number of clubs, it just doesn't surprise me at all. I reckon his stock is still really high if the price is right. And that even that right price will still be a significant profit for Chelsea. Yeah, I'm telling you. It's said clubs in Italy, Spain, and England. So he's obviously played in Spain and England already, and Germany right now, are all keeping an eye on football, whilst football transfers, presumably a German transfer news website, have reported there's interest in Saudi Arabia. The report adds Asian champions Al Ahly, who boast the likes of Mahrez and Tony in their ranks, have shown concrete interest. Of course, we need to be reminded, gang, it says here about, of course, Emmanuel Omega is joining Chelsea in the summer, who Liam Rosenior likes. He's Rosenior's captain at Strasbourg. He was number 10. He's starting striker. Obviously Panicelli's been great. Panicelli? Am I saying some sort of a delicious continental dish, or am I saying a striker's name? Yeah, man. Do you know what I mean? So there's we've got Omega. And between Omega, Delap, Joao Pedro, maybe Delap goes, maybe we get someone else. Shim Mweka being developed, although I do really think Shim should go on a championship loan next season. As an 18-year-old, I think he'll be ready to just go and play men's football really, really well. My personal opinion, I don't know what the lad wants. I think Datsun Satpayev, the Kazakh striker, I think he will go to Strasbourg. Personally, I haven't got any particular news or insight on that. I've just got a feeling. It just seems like a natural progression. I don't think that youngster's going to come into Chelsea and play as a 17-year-old or 18-year-old now who's never played in Europe. It's different with Ishtevau. He's a winger, and it's sort of slightly different when you're a striker playing in the Premier League. So much is asked for you. I doubt he's going to come and do that personally. But anyway, I'll end it there. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow after the London derby, hopefully not feeling miserable. And I would look forward to welcoming you guys back then. In the meantime, thank you for hanging out with me, supporting the content, liking, subscribing on YouTube, following and 5-starring on your podcast apps. I was going to say your football podcast apps. Well, they probably are football-based for most of you guys. Other than that, man, take care of yourselves. Hopefully see you soon. Peace.